November 11th, 1940. 20-30 hours. HMS Illustrious, 170 nautical miles southeast of Taranto Harbor. Lieutenant Commander Kenneth, Hooch, Williamson stands on the flight deck, watching mechanics strap an 18-inch torpedo beneath his Fairey Swordfish. Temperature drops to 8 degrees Celsius. Wind screams across the carrier deck at 35 knots. Salt spray stings his face. 21 obsolete canvas biplanes, maximum speed 93 knots with torpedoes attached, will fly into the teeth of 101 anti-aircraft guns, 193 machine guns, 27 barrage balloons, and 6 Italian battleships protected by the most heavily defended harbor in the Mediterranean. In 11 minutes, they will cripple half of Mussolini's battle fleet. 2 men will die. Their names, Lieutenant Gerald Bayly, Lieutenant Henry Slaughter. But right now, Williamson doesn't know his torpedo will hit its target before anti-aircraft fire rips his Swordfish apart. Williamson is 26 years old, from Newtownards, Northern Ireland. His wife Pamela waits at home. They married 18 months ago in a small church ceremony. White roses, her silk dress borrowed from her sister. He carries her photograph in his jacket pocket, wrapped in waxed paper to protect it from sea spray. He promised he'd return for Christmas. His hand rests on the fabric fuselage of his aircraft. Ice crystals form on the wing struts. He's calculating odds. 6 battleships, 5 heavy cruisers, 21 aircraft. The math doesn't favor survival. His personal risk, leading the first wave directly into concentrated anti-aircraft fire that will turn the night sky into a storm of tracer rounds and exploding shells. Bayly and Slaughter risk everything because failure means thousands die. Malta is starving. British convoys can't reach the island while Italian battleships control the central Mediterranean. Children on Malta receive half rations. Soldiers defend with dwindling ammunition. Men like Williamson who fly knowing half won't return deserve witnesses. Their courage, their sacrifice, their names, preserved beyond classified files. Subscribe if you agree. The Mediterranean Sea, November 1940. The strategic situation is catastrophic for Britain. France has fallen. The French Mediterranean fleet, gone. Italy's Regia Marina now outnumbers the Royal Navy 3-1 in the central Mediterranean. 6 Italian battleships sit in Taranto Harbor: Littorio, Vittorio Veneto, Conte di Cavour, Caio Duilio, Andrea Doria, Giulio Cesare. Modern, heavily armored, fast, armed with 15-inch guns that can shred British cruisers at 25 miles range. These battleships form a fleet in being, a deadly threat that doesn't need to fight to control the sea. Their mere existence forces the Royal Navy to commit overwhelming force to every convoy. British ships must sail in concentrated formations, making them easy targets for Italian bombers flying from Sicily and Sardinia. Malta is the strategic pivot. The island sits directly across Italy's supply line to Libya. If Malta survives, British submarines and aircraft can savage Axis convoys feeding Rommel's Africa Corps. If Malta falls, the Mediterranean becomes an Italian lake. Egypt falls. The Suez Canal closes. India becomes vulnerable. But Malta is dying. The siege has begun. Convoys can't reach the island while Italian battleships threaten from Taranto. Food stocks plummet. By November 1940, Maltese children receive reduced bread rations. British garrison soldiers eat tinned bully beef and hard biscuits. Fresh vegetables, gone. Fresh meat, a memory. Medical supplies run low. Ammunition reserves drop to weeks, not months. If this raid fails, Malta starves into surrender within 6 months. If it succeeds, the balance of Mediterranean naval power shifts overnight. British convoys reach Malta. Children eat full meals. Soldiers receive ammunition. The siege breaks. But success will cost blood. 2 families will receive telegrams they'll read with shaking hands. Lieutenant Commander Kenneth Williamson, 26 years old. Commanding Officer, 815 Squadron. From Newtownards, County Down. Wife, Pamela. Married, June 1939. She's pregnant, doesn't know yet. He wrote her a letter 3 days ago, sealed it, gave it to his squadron mate with instructions. If I don't come back. Distinguished Service Cross recipient. He's flown 247 combat hours since war began. Survived the Battle of Calabria when Italian bombers nearly sank HMS Eagle. knows his swordfish inside out, can land on a carrier deck in complete darkness using only feel and instinct. Tonight he's thinking about his father, a Great War veteran who taught him to fly gliders in the Belfast Hills, wondering if his child will ever know him. Lieutenant Gerald Bayly, 28 years old, pilot, 819 Squadron, from Cornwall, quiet, methodical. His crewmates call him steady because his hands never shake during torpedo runs. He's engaged to Sarah, a nurse at Portsmouth Naval Hospital. Wedding planned for March 1941. She's embroidered his initials on a handkerchief he carries. His last letter to her, written yesterday. We're doing something important. I'll tell you about it when I return. Keep the 17th free. I'll be on leave then. He won't. Lieutenant Henry Hank Slaughter, 25 years old. Observer, Bayly's rear seat navigator. From Devon. His mother is a widow. His father died at Jutland in 1916. He's her only child. He writes to her every week without fail. Last night's letter. The weather is cold but spirits are high. We have a job to do that might shorten the war. I'll make father proud. He's carrying his father's pocket watch. Silver. Engraved. To Henry Sr. From Victoria, Coronation Day, 1902. He winds it every evening at 2100 hours precisely. This morning Admiral Andrew Cunningham addressed his fleet. The Italian Navy has avoided battle for 5 months. They hide in Taranto behind guns and nets, a fleet that refuses to fight. Tonight we remind them that the Royal Navy does not ask permission to enter enemy harbors. We take what we want. The plan originated in 1935 when Admiral Dudley Pound first conceived attacking Taranto. Captain Lumley Lister, then commanding HMS Glorious, refined the concept. Night attack to maximize surprise, torpedoes modified for shallow water, flares for illumination, bombs as diversion. Training began in 1938. 3 years of practice. Night carrier landings. Low-level torpedo runs in darkness. Evasive maneuvers against searchlights. The expected casualty rate, 50%. If this raid fails, Admiral Cunningham loses his only carrier aircraft. Malta's garrison receives no relief. Italian confidence soars. Mussolini's propaganda machine declares victory. The Mediterranean War tilts decisively toward the Axis. But there's a secret weapon the Italians don't expect. Put yourself in Rear Admiral Lister's boots. You're the carrier commander aboard HMS Illustrious. 21 obsolete biplanes, fabric-covered, open cockpit, maximum speed slower than a modern car, versus 6 modern battleships protected by 101 anti-aircraft guns, 193 machine guns, 27 barrage balloons, and anti-torpedo nets. Intelligence estimates 50% casualties minimum. Success means crippling the Italian fleet and saving Malta. Failure wastes lives and loses the initiative. Half your pilots die if you say yes. Thousands die slowly if you say no. Do you send Williamson and his men or call it off? Tell me your choice and defend it. 1800 hours. Operations room. HMS Illustrious. Final briefing. Williamson and 20 other pilots crowd around an illuminated table displaying reconnaissance photographs of Taranto Harbor. Every gun position marked. Every barrage balloon plotted. Every ship identified by class and position. Captain Dennis Boyd points to the torpedo net arrangement. Nets only extend to 10 meters depth. Harbor average depth, 15 meters. Your torpedoes are set to run at 10 meters. They'll pass under the nets. Duplex magnetic pistols will detonate beneath the target's keel, maximum damage. The secret weapon, modified torpedo drop technique. Standard doctrine says torpedoes need 75 feet of water depth. They dive deep before leveling out. Taranto's anchorage averages only 39 feet. The solution, copper wire attached from aircraft to torpedo nose. As the torpedo drops, wire tension pulls the nose up, creating a belly flop entry instead of a dive. This enables drops in water as shallow as 22 feet. The Italians don't know the British have solved this problem. They believe their shallow harbor makes them invulnerable to airdrop torpedoes. 2000 hours. Flight deck. Mechanics complete final checks. Each Swordfish carries either one 18-inch Mark 12 torpedo weighing 1,650 pounds, or 6 250-pound bombs, or 16 flares. Auxiliary fuel tanks cramped into the observer's cockpit push range to 320 miles. The fabric and wood biplanes strain under the weight. Engineers calculate maximum takeoff weight at 10,200 pounds. These aircraft loaded to 10,400 pounds. Pilots will need every inch of deck to get airborne. Wind gusts to 40 knots across the deck. Waves crash against the carrier's bow. Temperature drops to 6 degrees. Williamson pulls on leather flying helmet, adjusts goggles, climbs into his cockpit. Smells: aviation fuel, salt spray, oil, canvas dope. Behind him, Lieutenant Norman, Blondie Scarlet, settles into the observer's seat, squeezed against the auxiliary fuel tank. 60 gallons of high-octane gasoline strapped inches from his head. If they take a direct hit, the tank explodes. 20-40 hours. Williamson receives the signal. Thumbs up to the deck crew. Engine roars. Propeller becomes a blur. The Swordfish lurches forward, accelerates, lifts off. 11 more aircraft follow. 6 carrying torpedoes, 4 with bombs, 2 with flares. Formation assembles above the carrier. Williamson takes the lead. Course: 325 degrees. Distance: 170 nautical miles. Flight time: 90 minutes. Expected opposition: overwhelming. Behind him, Lieutenant Commander John Hale will lead the second wave 9 aircraft, launching 90 minutes later. 2100 hours. Flying over black water. No moon yet. That comes later. Stars scattered across the sky. Pilots navigate by compass and dead reckoning. Radio silence. Italian listening stations must not detect them. The formation stays tight, following Williamson's navigation lights. Temperature at 8,000 feet, -5 degrees. Wind screams through wing struts. Ice forms on goggles. Pilots taste metal from adrenaline. Scarlet, crouched behind Williamson, plots their course on a board balanced on his knees. Every few minutes, he taps Williamson's shoulder, points left or right for course corrections. They're flying toward the most heavily defended harbor in the Mediterranean. If spotted early, Italian fighters scramble. If caught in searchlights, anti-aircraft guns bracket them in seconds. 22:15 hours. Navigator inlet aircraft spots coastline. Italy. Taranto Harbor lies 15 miles ahead. Formation descends to 8,000 feet. Flare droppers peel off, circle wide to approach from the east. Their job: illuminate targets while drawing anti-aircraft fire away from torpedo bombers. But what the aircrew doesn't know: a gale 3 days ago ripped 60 of Taranto's 90 barrage balloons from their moorings. Only 27 remain. The Italians haven't replaced them. This accident creates gaps in the balloon defense that Williamson's aircraft will fly through blindly. Pure luck saving them from collision with invisible cables. 22:30 hours. Formation splits. 3 aircraft, including Williamson's, veer left to attack from the northwest. Others approach from different angles. Coordination is critical, but communication is impossible. Radio silence maintained. Each pilot knows his role: create chaos, overwhelm defenses, strike fast. And this is where it gets insane. 22:58 hours. Flares ignite. 16 magnesium flares burst over Taranto Harbor, bathing the anchorage in harsh white light. Ships cast long black shadows. Barrage balloon cables gleam. The harbor erupts. Italian searchlights snap on. 22 beams sweep the sky. Anti-aircraft guns open fire. 101 guns. 4-inch shells explode in black puffs. Tracer rounds arc upward. Red, white, green streams of bullets. The noise is overwhelming. A continuous roar of explosions, gunfire, screaming engines. Williamson pushes his Swordfish into a dive. 7,000 feet. 6,000. 5,000. Airspeed increases to 120 knots. Fabric wings strain. Struts creak. Wind roars. He tastes cordite smoke. Smells burning propellant. Sees tracer rounds slashing past his wingtips. 4,000 feet. 3,000. Searchlight catches him. Brilliant white light blinds him. He jinks left. Anti-aircraft shells explode. Crack, crack, crack. Black smoke bursts 50 feet away. Shrapnel punches holes in his fabric wings. He feels impacts through the control stick. 2,000 feet. Target acquired. Conti di Cavour. Massive battleship. 29,000 tons. 10 12-inch guns. 200 meters long. He's diving at 45 degrees directly at her starboard side. 1,000 feet. Guns from Conti di Cavour open fire directly at him. for .7-inch secondary batteries, pom-pom guns, machine guns. The battleship disappears behind muzzle flashes. Tracer fire so dense it looks solid. He's flying through a wall of steel. 500 feet, 200 feet, 100 feet. He levels off just above the water. Releases torpedo. Wire snaps. Torpedo belly flops into the harbor. Runs straight. True. His swordfish climbs. Turning hard. Then wham. Direct hit. Anti-aircraft shell from Connie D. Cavour's 90mm battery. Starboard lower wing explodes. Fabric shreds. Wing strut breaks. The biplane snaps into a spin. Williamson fights the controls. No response. Scarlet braces. They're going in. The swordfish hits water at 80 miles per hour. Impact. Blackness. When Williamson regains consciousness, he's underwater. Cold. Disoriented. Can't see. Can't breathe. Lungs burning. He thrashes upward. Breaks surface. Gasps. Fuel burns on the water. Flames spread. He swims away from the fire. Sees Scarlet 20 feet away, also swimming. Both men alive. For now. Italian sailors haul them from the harbor 11 minutes later. POWs. Bruised. Half drowned. But alive. They don't know yet that Williamson's torpedo struck home. 23-foot hole blown in Connie D. Cavour's hull below the waterline. The battleship is sinking. While Williamson and Scarlet are pulled from the water, the remaining torpedo bombers press their attacks. Lieutenant Michael Torrance Spence lines up on Littorio. Dives through anti-aircraft fire so thick it seems impossible to survive. Drops from 30 feet. Torpedo hits. Explodes beneath Littorio's port quarter. Massive geyser of water and oil. He banks hard right. Tracer fire chases him. Climbs. Escapes into darkness. Lieutenant John Wellham targets Andrea Doria. Searchlights find him. 7 beams converge. He's flying in daylight brightness while surrounded by night. Anti-aircraft guns track him perfectly. Shells explode 10 feet below his wheels. Above his canopy. Beside his wingtips. He drops to wavetop height. Releases torpedo at 50 feet. Turns so hard his wingtips almost touch water. The torpedo runs hot, but misses. Andrea Doria's captain has flooded her port ballast tanks, heeling the ship over, narrowing her profile. First wave. 6 torpedoes dropped. 2 hits confirmed. Williamson's aircraft down. 0 other losses. 23:45 hours. Second wave arrives. 9 aircraft led by Lieutenant Commander John Hale. 819 Squadron. They've flown through the same searchlights, same anti-aircraft fire, same chaos. But now the Italians are fully alert. Every gun is manned. Ammunition expenditure is unrestricted. The harbor defense has transformed into a steel curtain. Hale targets Littorio, already hit once, but still afloat. He dives through a cone of anti-aircraft fire. Explosions bracket his swordfish. Port wing shredded by shrapnel. Hydraulic line severed. Fluid sprays across his goggles. But he's committed. Can't pull out. Levels at 40 feet. Drops torpedo. Hits. Second explosion tears into Littorio's starboard quarter. Lieutenant Gerald Bayly approaches from the north. His target, Littorio again. Third torpedo. If it hits, the brand-new battleship, only commissioned in May 1940, Mussolini's pride, will be crippled. He descends through streams of tracer fire. Red lines slash past. He smells burnt gunpowder. Hears shrapnel pinging off his engine cowling. Bayly is calm. Hands steady. The man they call Steady is living up to his name. Behind him, Lieutenant Henry Slaughter calls corrections. Left 2 degrees. Steady. Target bearing 355. Range 800 yards. Bayly levels off. 30 feet above water. Releases torpedo at 600 yards. The Mark 12 drops. Wire breaks. Torpedo belly flops. Runs true. Bubbles stream behind it. Then the heavy cruiser Gorizia's 3.9-inch battery opens fire. Direct hit. Bayly's swordfish disintegrates. Right wing tears off. Fuselage breaks apart. The aircraft cartwheels into the harbor. Bayly dies instantly. Impact at 100 miles per hour. Metal and wood and fabric smashed together. No pain. No time to think. His last conscious moment. Seeing his torpedo running toward Littorio. That thought is his last. Slaughter is thrown from the wreckage. Hits water. Broken ribs. Punctured lung. Cold water floods his flight suit. He can't breathe. Can't swim. Too damaged. His father's watch still ticking in his pocket. He sinks beneath the black water. But his torpedo hits. Third strike on Littorio. Massive hole in the battleship's starboard side, 39 feet by 30 feet. Flooding accelerates. Littorio settles deeper into the harbor mud, bow submerged. Only her superstructure and guns visible above water. Lieutenant Clifford Swain targets Caio Duilio. Searchlights catch him. Anti-aircraft fire explodes around his Swordfish. Shell fragments punch through his elevator controls. Aircraft won't respond to stick inputs. He's flying wounded. But he's committed. Levels at 20 feet. So low his wheels almost touch water. Drops torpedo. Pulls up. Hard. The torpedo runs perfect. Hits Caio Duilio amidships. Explosion rips an 11-meter by 7-meter hole in her hull. Both forward magazines flood. The battleship settles onto the harbor bottom, listing heavily. 150 hours. Last Swordfish lands on HMS Illustrious. 18 of 21 aircraft return. Pilots collapse in the wardroom. Shaking. Sweating despite the cold. Adrenaline crash. Some vomit from stress. Others sit silent, staring. Maintenance crews swarm the returned aircraft. Counting holes. Every Swordfish is damaged. Fabric wings shredded. Tail surfaces riddled. One aircraft has 47 bullet holes. Another's propeller blade bent from shrapnel impact. It's a miracle any returned. Captain Dennis Boyd addresses the air crews. You've just changed the course of the war. Well done. November 12, 1940. Dawn. Italian reconnaissance aircraft photograph the harbor. The damage is catastrophic. Conte di Cavour, sunk in shallow water. 23-foot by 26-foot hole in her side. Entire lower hull flooded. Only superstructure visible. 27 crew killed. 100 wounded. She's grounded so deep her keel is stuck in harbor mud. The ship will be raised eventually, but she'll never return to service. Italy surrenders in 1943 before repairs are complete. Littorio, 3 torpedo hits. Holes, 23 feet by 5 feet. Port, 49 feet by 33 feet. Starboard, 39 feet by 30 feet. Starboard. Bow completely submerged. 32 crew killed. 200 wounded. Despite the damage, Italian engineers will refloat and repair her in 4 months. A testament to Italian shipbuilding skill. She'll fight again at Cape Matapan. Caio Duilio, 1 torpedo hit. 36-foot by 23-foot hole. Both forward magazines flooded. Beached to prevent total loss. 16 crew killed. 90 wounded. Repairs take 7 months. Returns to service August 1941. 2 cruisers damaged by bombs. Trento and Libeccio. 2 destroyers damaged by near misses. British casualties. 2 aircraft shot down. 2 men killed. 2 captured. Lieutenant Gerald Bayly, 28 years old. From Cornwall. His body is never recovered from Taranto Harbor. His fiancée Sarah receives a telegram on November 14th. She reads it 3 times before the words register. She keeps his handkerchief with the embroidered initials in her bedside drawer for the rest of her life. Never marries. Dies in 1998, aged 86. The handkerchief is found among her possessions, still carefully preserved. Lieutenant Henry Slaughter, 25 years old. From Devon. His body washes ashore 3 days later. Italian sailors bury him in a military cemetery outside Taranto. His mother receives notification on November 17th. She lights a candle in her window every evening for the next 4 years, until the war ends. She keeps his father's pocket watch on her mantle. Dies in 1952. The watch is donated to the Royal Navy Museum. Lieutenant Commander Kenneth Williamson and Lieutenant Norman Scarlett, captured. Held as POWs in Campo 21, Haiti. Liberated September 1943 when Italy surrenders. Both survive the war. Williamson returns to Newtownards. Meets his daughter, born 3 months after Taranto. Names her Victoria, after the watch Henry Slaughter carried. Williamson will say later, "We flew knowing some wouldn't return." Bayly and Slaughter drew the short straws. They're the heroes. I just got lucky. Italian casualties, 59 killed. 600 wounded. They weren't evil. Just young men following orders. Among them, Seaman Pietro Mancini, 19 years old, from Naples. Stationed aboard Conte di Cavour. Killed instantly when Williamson's torpedo detonated beneath the magazine. His mother Maria receives notification 2 weeks later. She keeps his photograph on her kitchen wall until her death in 1967. The strategic impact cascaded across 3 levels. Tier 1, 3 battleships crippled. Italy's battle fleet reduced from 6 operational capital ships to 3 overnight. Naval balance in the Mediterranean shifts decisively toward Britain. Tier 2, British convoys reach Malta November 26. Convoy MW5 delivers 55,000 tons of supplies. Children on Malta receive full rations again. Starvation averted. The garrison receives ammunition. British submarines operating from Malta sink 60% of Axis convoys to Libya over the next 6 months. Rommel's Africa Corps starves for fuel and supplies. The North African campaign tilts toward Britain. Tier 3. The raid proves carrier-based aircraft can cripple a fleet in harbor despite heavy defenses. This changes naval doctrine permanently. The battleship era ends. The carrier era begins. 13 months later, Japanese Commander Mitsuo Fukuda studies British after-action reports from Taranto. Copies the tactics. December 7, 1941, attacks Pearl Harbor using techniques learned from studying this raid. The Pacific War begins with a Taranto-style carrier strike. The mission proves aviation has permanently eclipsed the big-gun battleship as the arbiter of naval power. 2 men died. Bayly and Slaughter. They saved Malta. Their sacrifice enabled British submarines to savage Rommel's supply lines. Their courage proved carrier aviation could defeat battleship fleets. Their names: Lieutenant Gerald William Laycock Angus Bayly, Lieutenant Henry John Slaughter. Remember them. Sarah kept Bayly's handkerchief for 57 years. Slaughter's mother lit candles for 4 years. Williamson named his daughter after Slaughter's watch. Their sacrifice deserves witnesses beyond classified files. Subscribe if you believe courage like this deserves to be remembered. The next mission was even more impossible: Malta Convoy Operation Pedestal, where 1 tanker saved an island. 21 Fairey Swordfish biplanes, fabric-covered, maximum speed 93 knots, armed with World War I technology torpedoes, achieved a strategic victory that modern stealth bombers with precision-guided munitions rarely match. Were these obsolete aircraft more effective pound for pound than contemporary strike fighters? Some say yes, because the Swordfish pilots operated at wave-top heights in defended harbors at night with zero margin for error, delivering weapons with surgical precision. Others say no, because modern aircraft carry vastly more ordnance with greater accuracy from safe standoff ranges. Drop your side in the comments and defend it with evidence.